So what's going on, man? What's going on? I don't know, man. Something. I was what I was thinking about. I was thinking about youngin, man. Um, Tate dude, man. I don't know. Was thinking about that shit for some reason. I don't know. It just kind of what you call it? Fuck me up with that shit. And I'm like, it ain't really fucked me up, but it kind of fucked me up. You know, I thought he was more, a more upstanding dude, man. You know what I mean? You know, turns out I was pretty much wrong. You know what I mean? So, kind of but I be thinking about all that shit because it seemed like, like what do they say? Like water ceases level. You know what I mean? So it's like it seemed like with all that shit with like you know the feminism shit and all that type of shit. It seemed like niggas, you know what I mean? Everybody is kind of retreating back to their level. You know what I'm saying? In a way, like, you know what I mean? So it's like everybody's going back to their little groups and shit like that. You know what I mean? It's like, as far as bitches, they still on the same shit. They think it's thieves still, right? You know what I mean? But like it looked like, like it was a correct, that was the height, shit, right? You know what I mean? So it's like everybody going back. Yeah, it seemed like everybody going back to the groups that they were in. It seemed like everybody got out of it for a while. You know what I mean? So, like niggas going back who was really black, going back who was, niggas who was fucking sellouts going back to the sellout shit, motherfuckers who worship fucking white bitches and all that, everything going back to where it is, you know what I'm saying? They little groups and shit, everybody little group, so look like that shit happening a lot. I wouldn't have called it though. I think Youngin said some shit about it because it, you don't want to say shit by like, the company a motherfucker keep, and that means that they the same way. You know what I'm saying? And then because everything got a little, what you call it? You know what I mean? I think like Youngin probably stayed more true with O'Shea kind of because he ain't never liked the dude. You know what I mean? So he was pretty much right as rain. You know what I mean? I'm a little surprised by it, like, because it's kind of like for what? You know what I mean? For what? You know what I mean? But that's because that shit always been right. You know what I mean? So and then it don't make you reevaluate shit, but I guess when you go back, right, you got to do some type of reevaluation, right? Everybody got to do some type of reevaluation, you know what I mean? Is what it's looking like, right? So you got to go back and look at shit like, and then like some of the shit, you know what I mean? Because like, yeah, man, because shit got real, like, motherfuckers like, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? On a lot of things, man. Even black shit. Like, a motherfuckers like, fuck it. Because I caught myself a lot of times being like, hey, man, niggas gone a little too far, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, a little too far, nigga. The niggas like, nah, get them bitches, you know what I'm saying? La da da, right? So, niggas ain't got shit much to show for it. I mean, niggas got an understanding of like, I guess, right? Some understanding, because you can't, because every time I used to look at it, right, especially when I, hear some shit and be like, listen to some shit, you be like, nigga on some weird shit. So it's just like, but I just, I think about like, what you call it, what did it, make strange bedfellows or whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying? So you be around a motherfucker, you be like, you know what I mean? And the same shit is like what's happening on the bitch side too. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause, you know what I mean? But it's just it's you know it's kind of the same though. You know what I mean? It's kind of the same now. You know that shit like perfectly because them bitches in they way they looked at it like they were being held back and repressed. You know what I mean? So you know what I mean? Because like if you take like the what you call it like swirling bitches or whatever, you know, turns out you know all them bitches like that. So it's like that's you know that's how that goes, right? But they just you know what I mean you know used to not saying shit about it. You know what I mean? Or whatever. They not, you know, they wouldn't really tell you or whatever. So, you know, so it's kind of like that. You know what I mean? So I think that's why, like, you know, it's a little bit different with them, right? You know, but now I don't know if they're as extreme as them, you know, the real bitches, the counterparts from the niggas that's, you know what I mean, that fuck with white bitches and whatever else. You know what I mean? I don't know if they that deep, but they probably that deep with it with them. You know what I mean too. So you know what I mean. But yeah, that shit. That's the way shit is looking, man. You know what I mean? So even on that black shit, man, you know, come up for air. You look back at that shit, be like, man, you know, a lot of fucked up shit. You know what I mean? That happened, man, and it's still the same though. Like the same pressure, the same, you know, oppression, the same bullshit. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you know. So maybe it's an ebb and flow. Who knows, right? You know what I mean? But right now, just saying like, you know, shit is you know, settlement with that. As far as like, you know, that shit, man. You know, being around a motherfucker, Nick. But I got, you know, you be like, hey, man. You know, one of them things where you could just be like, you know, that's what you want to do. You know, that's what you want to do. That's you. You know what I'm saying? You know, that thing that may be like first time some of them, so a lot of cats would be like, they have a, you know, had got some understanding from another nigga or whatever, you know, from that shit or whatever, right? You know, so I guess that came out of it, right? You know what I mean? You know, where motherfucker ain't gotta be like, you know, like a nigga can't talk or whatever, or say, you know, how he feel and all that other shit. You know, that nigga ain't gonna just like, you know, get on a motherfucker or whatever, right? You know, I ain't fucking with this nigga, you know, type shit, right? You know, so, you know, so that's, you know, at least, you know, when shit was up there, motherfuckers was, you know, willing to bypass that shit. So it depends if motherfuckers go back to the same shit. So it's like, you know, if motherfuckers gonna go back, you know what I'm saying, and you know, learn something from the shit and reevaluate and shit like that, and, you know, and try and, you know, measure the right thing. You know what I'm saying, to keep, I guess, like what it was. You know what I mean? To try and keep the good parts of that shit. You know what I'm saying? You know, without going blindly, because a lot of shit is just blind, man. You know, you just go blindly and just like let shit go, and that's why, you know, it's to a point. You know what I mean? And a lot of this shit, man. You know, like even when it got down to like a lot of shit, nigga, like, well, men did this, but like a lot of shit niggas can't say. We can't say really. You know what I'm saying? Contributed or whatever, but we can't say that, right? And because, you know, a lot of that shit can flip. You know, I was watching that shit too. You know what I mean? And then it's like kind of like having a conversation or something, right? It's like, you know, like a conversation with like, you know, white supremacy or some shit. You know what I mean? Where you seeing the other their points, and you're not, you know, getting upset at the points. You actually, what do you call it? But what was going on is like you're arguing those points, right? Mostly niggas was like arguing those points, you know, and giving ownership to those points. but we couldn't really do that, right? You know what I'm saying? So you had to like step back from that shit, you know what I mean? You know, and look at it, you know, without emotion or whatever, right? Another motherfucker point of view, you know what I mean? If you looked at it that deep, right? You know what I mean? Because like, you know, mostly, you know, most niggas, you know, you just say that shit, and it's like, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. But you know, on the flip side, that same shit, you know, niggas was saying to bitches, white people could say to niggas. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, so I was looking at that shit too, right? You know, how many times like that shit flipped. You know what I mean? So it was like having, yeah, like, you know, and so what no emotions in that shit. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, nah, no emotions. Because normally you'll be like, you know, from the position we in. You know what I mean? So, you know, you're gonna argue in some kind of way. You know what I mean? And not like take that shit in. So it's shit to take in. You know what I'm saying? Then it's like evaluate what you gonna do as a nigga or whatever. Since that is, if it's a reality for her, it's a reality for you too. I like, you know, me. You know, when I get to that shit, right? Some of that shit, not all of it, but some of that shit, right? So, you know, me, I've been like looked at the shit. I like, man, the answer is 42. I just think about like at the end of that shit, man, it's like 42, nigga. That's the answer to that shit. To me, you know what I mean? That's how I be looking at that shit. Like, answer is 42, cause it's like one of those like, you know, one of those fucking burning ass questions, right? It's the ultimate question in a way, right? You know what I mean? It's like the ultimate question. And it's like, to me, them bitches done answered it, man. But it's just like, you know, most niggas don't feel that way. Most men don't feel that way, right? You know what I mean? And what's the answer to that? You know what I'm saying? Islam and God, right? And then it gets into a point of like loneliness, nigga, right? You know what I'm saying? Loneliness, right? You know, so, you know, and then that's a deeper situation, right? That's a deeper situation. You know what I mean? You know, so, and you know, and like I said, I was thinking about the shit earlier, right? I was thinking about projection, right? And I was telling myself, like, man, you know, a lot of times when you be, you know, speaking or whatever, you be projecting and be like, you know, whatever, like your soul, you know, trying to tell you some shit. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm looking now, and like I was thinking about that shit earlier, but like this whole day, I ain't even gonna lie, man. You know, I've been thinking about loneliness and all that shit. You know what I mean? And there's my answer right there. You know what I mean? That's just some me shit. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. Seeing like everybody, you know what I mean, going back to they, you know, to they little cruise or whatever, man. So, you know what I mean? We'll see what we learn. You know what I mean? We'll see, you know, how we can, you know, cohabitate or whatever, get along. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully, you know, we all take something away from that shit and learn something. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. All right, y'all niggas, man.